The arrival. The sun of the alien world was setting, painting the sky in strange purple and green colors. The human traveler walked slowly on the dusty path, his boots heavy with mud. His clothes were torn, and his bag almost empty. He had been moving for days, searching for food, water, and, most of all, a place that would accept him. Every settlement before this one had turned him away. Some feared him, others mocked him, and a few even threw stones. But this time, as he looked at the smoke rising from the valley, he felt something different. Maybe luck had finally found him. The village was alive with movement. Alien children with glowing eyes ran in the streets. Their skins shimmered in the fading light. Some were silver, some dark blue, others pale like glass. Their laughter echoed, sharp but musical. The human slowed down, nervous. He knew too well that strangers were not welcomed easily. Yet hunger pushed him forward. His stomach growled, reminding him that he had eaten only dried roots in the last 2 days. At the edge of the village, 2 guards stood. Their bodies were tall and slim, with long arms ending in 3 sharp fingers. They carried spears made of bone, shining faintly. The guards looked at the human, then at each other. One of them tilted his head, speaking in their own tongue. The sound was strange, like water dripping on stone. But then, surprisingly, the other guard spoke in broken human language. "You, from the stars?" the guard asked. The human nodded slowly. "Yes, I mean no harm. I only want work, food, a place to rest." The guard studied him. Their eyes glowed brighter for a moment, as if scanning him. Then one pointed his spear toward the village center. "Come. Elder will see." The human followed, his heart beating faster. He passed through narrow paths between clay-like huts. Strange plants grew in pots outside, their leaves curling toward him as though alive. Villagers stopped to stare. Mothers pulled their children close, some whispered. A few looked with wide, hopeful eyes. The human felt the weight of every gaze pressing on his back. Finally, he was led to a large hall in the center. Inside, a circle of elders sat on carved stone seats. Their faces were older, their skin glowing dimly, their eyes deep and knowing. In the middle of the hall, a fire burned blue, crackling with sparks that smelled of sweet fruit. The oldest elder raised her hand. "You are human," she said in a voice that shook the walls. It was not a question, but a statement. "Yes," the traveler said, bowing his head slightly. "I have no home, no people. I am only looking for a chance to work. I can build, repair, farm, or fight if needed. Anything for food and shelter." The elders whispered among themselves. Their words flowed like wind, too fast for him to understand. Then silence fell again. The elder leaned closer, her glowing eyes fixed on him. "You will work," she said slowly, choosing her words. "We give food. We give home. But our work is not like others." The human's throat felt dry. He wanted to ask, but he waited. He knew better than to show fear. The elder's lips curved into a faint smile. "You are strong. You are fertile. You will serve our people well." The human frowned. Fertile? What kind of work needed that word? His mind spun with confusion. Before he could ask, a group of alien women entered the hall. They were young, tall, and graceful, with shimmering hair-like strands flowing behind them. Their eyes studied him carefully, curious, almost hungry. The firelight made their skin glow even brighter. The elder gestured toward them. "These are daughters of our village. They wait for you. You will bring life. You will give us future." The hall grew silent. The human's heart stopped for a beat. He finally understood. The job was not farming, not building, not fighting. It was something else, something shocking. The women stepped closer, their glowing eyes fixed on him. The human felt trapped, caught between fear and disbelief. He had come here only to survive. But what they wanted was far more than he had expected. As the fire burned brighter, the whispers of the villagers outside grew louder. They already knew. The human had been chosen. And now, there was no turning back. The strange offer. The next morning, the human woke, up in a small hut made of clay and wood. The bed was rough but warm, covered with thick animal skins. For the first time in weeks, he had eaten a full meal the night before. Soft bread, fruits that glowed faintly in the dark, and water sweeter than anything he had ever tasted. His body felt rested, but his mind was restless. The words of the Yar elder echoed inside his head. "You are fertile. You will bring life." What did that mean exactly? Was it a misunderstanding, or had he truly understood? He stepped outside into the cool morning air. Alien villagers moved about, busy with daily tasks. Some carried baskets of grain, others polished tools, and a few guided strange creatures with 6 legs that pulled wooden carts. But whenever their eyes met his, they would pause for a moment. Their gazes were not like before, no longer fearful. Instead, they carried something heavier, expectation. 2 women stood near the entrance of his hut. They were the same ones he had seen in the Elders' Hall last night. Their skin glowed faint gold and their eyes followed him closely. One of them finally spoke in a soft, broken human tongue. "Come, Elder waits. Work begins." The human's heart raced. He wanted to refuse, but curiosity pulled him forward. What was this work they kept speaking of? Surely it could not be what he thought. Maybe he had misunderstood. Maybe it was something symbolic, something about planting, crops, or raising animals. The women guided him through the village until they reached the great hall again. Inside, the circle of elders waited, their glowing eyes fixed on him. The blue fire burned brighter this time, sending strange shadows crawling across the walls. The oldest elder leaned forward. "You ate. You rested. Now we speak." The human nodded cautiously. "Yes, but before I agree to any job, I must know. What exactly do you want me to do?" The elder's lips curved into something between a smile and a frown. "Our people are dying. Few males left. Our blood thins. Our daughters cannot carry life without strong seed." She pointed her finger toward him. "You carry strong seed. You will give them children. That is your work." The hall fell silent. The human's chest tightened, so he had not misunderstood. The offer was real. "You want me," he began slowly, his voice shaking, "to give children to your people?" The elder nodded. "Yes. Many daughters wait. You will not be forced, but if you stay, this is your duty. In return, you are family. You are fed. You are protected. No harm will come to you." The human's thoughts raced. He had traveled through countless places where no one gave him shelter. Here, these aliens were offering safety, food, and a home, but at a cost he had never imagined. He was no hero, no savior. He was just a wanderer trying to survive. Could he really accept this role? Before he could answer, one of the younger elders, with sharp silver skin, spoke up. "We do not ask only for our sake. Our children will be yours too. Your blood will live here. You will belong." Belong. The word hit him harder than he expected. For years he had been rootless. No village, no friends, no family. The thought of belonging somewhere stirred something deep inside him, yet fear still gripped his heart. The elder clapped her hands and a group of alien women entered the hall. Each carried a small gift: a bowl of fruit, a folded cloth, a carved ornament. They laid the offerings at his feet. Then they stood silently, watching him. Their eyes held no hatred, no disgust, only hope. The human felt his throat dry. This was no ordinary job interview. This was a choice that could change his life forever. He struggled to find words. "This is not what I expected. I only came here for simple work. Farming, building, anything. Not this." The golden-skinned woman who had guided him, Here stepped forward. Her voice was soft, almost pleading. We know, but you are gift. You are answer to prayers. Please, think. The elder's gaze hardened. We will not chain you. You may leave if you wish. But remember, no other village will take you beyond our valley. Only hunger and death wait. The hall grew heavy with silence. The human looked at the gifts on the floor, then at the hopeful faces staring at him. He thought of his empty past and the long nights of loneliness. He thought of survival and of the strange, dangerous offer now laid before him. His heart pounded, his hands shook. And in that moment he realized something terrifying. The choice was not only about survival. It was about what kind of man he wanted to become. The elder spoke one last time, her voice echoing like thunder. Stay and give us a future, or leave and return to nothing. The fire crackled louder, and all eyes waited for his answer. The hidden expectation. The human did not give an answer that night. He returned to the small clay hut, his mind storming with thoughts. The village had given him food and rest, but their strange request still echoed in his ears. You will give us children. He tried to sleep, but every time he closed his eyes, he saw the glowing eyes of the alien women staring at him with quiet hope. The morning came early. A knock on the wooden door pulled him from his restless dreams. When he stepped outside, he found the same golden-skinned woman waiting for him. Her voice was calm, yet firm. Come, we show you the village. He followed her through the streets. This time, people did not look at him with fear. Instead, they greeted him with nods, some even bowing slightly. Children ran close, their curious, eyes wide, whispering about the human. It was as if the entire village already believed he had accepted the role. They reached a field beyond the huts. Strange crops grew there, tall stalks with glowing seeds, vines that moved slowly as if alive. The woman pointed to them. We farm, we build, we live, but without new life, this ends. She touched her chest softly. Our males, weak, few remain. Blood is fading. The human listened, his stomach heavy. He understood now that this was not just a strange request, it was desperation. They were on the edge of extinction. The woman looked at him directly. You are strong. Your blood can mix. Our healers tested when you slept. You can give life. He froze. You tested me? She nodded without shame. Yes. Healers see your body. You can help. His hands curled into fists. He hated the thought of being treated like some breeding tool, yet at the same time he could not ignore the truth. They were dying, and they believed he was the answer. Before he could speak, another group approached, 3 women carrying baskets of fruits and clothes. They placed the baskets at his feet. One of them whispered shyly, For you, for your new home. The human blinked. New home? The golden-skinned woman tilted her head. Yes, you stay. You choose a mate. You begin. His heart pounded. This was it. The hidden expectation revealed fully. They had already decided his role. In their eyes, it was not a question anymore. It was his destiny. But he was still torn. He thought about his past, how he had lost everything, how every village had shut their doors in his face. Here, for the first time, people wanted him, needed him. But was it really for him, or only for what he could give them? He finally spoke. I do not know if I can do this. I am human. I did not come here to breed. The golden-skinned woman stepped closer, her eyes glowing softly. Not only breed, belong. You will be one of us. Children will call you father. You will have family. Do you not want that? The word family pierced deep into his heart. He had forgotten what it felt like to belong to someone, to hear a child call his name with love. But he also feared losing. his freedom becoming nothing more than a tool. That night the elders called him again. The hall was crowded, villagers standing along the walls waiting for his answer. The elder spoke, her voice strong. "We do not force, but you must decide. Our daughters cannot wait forever." The human looked around the hall. The women's eyes burned with silent hope. The men, few in number, stood apart, weak and frail, their skin dim. Children peeked through the doors, whispering. The entire village seemed to hold its breath. Finally he spoke. "I will stay, but not as a tool. If I am to give life, then I must also live here as a man, with respect, with choice. I will not be chained." The hall erupted in whispers. Some nodded in agreement, some frowned in doubt. But the elder raised her hand, and silence fell again. "Then it is agreed," she said. "You are not tool, you are family. Tomorrow you begin new path." The villagers bowed their heads. The decision was made. The human walked back to his hut, his heart heavy with both fear and strange relief. For the first time in years, he had a place that called him family. But deep inside, a question remained. Would they ever see him as more than just the human who gave them children? As he lay down to rest, he did not notice the golden-skinned woman watching from the shadows, her eyes glowing with something more than hope, something personal. The hidden expectation was no longer hidden. It was his new reality, the moral dilemma. The human sat by the blue fire in his hut that night staring at the flames. The heat touched his skin, but his mind was frozen. He had said yes to staying, yes to belonging, but doubt kept eating at him. Was he saving a people or losing himself? Everywhere he went in the village, the looks followed him. Not fear now, not suspicion, expectation. Mothers whispered when he passed. Children pointed, calling him the chosen one. Even the frail alien men looked at him with quiet bitterness, their eyes filled with something like shame. He had never carried such weight on his shoulders before. The golden-skinned woman, the one who often stayed near him, entered his hut. She placed a bowl of glowing fruit beside him and sat without asking. Her eyes reflected the firelight. "You think too much," she said softly. He gave a tired laugh. "Wouldn't you? You want me to give your people children, to build your future. But what about me? What about what I want?" She tilted her head, her voice gentle. "Do you not want family? Do you not want to belong? You wander alone, no roots, no name here. We offer you more." He looked at her, anger and sorrow mixed in his chest. "But it's not really me you want. It's my body, my blood. What if I say no? What if I don't want this?" Her face grew, serious. She did not look away. "Then you leave. We will not chain you, but you will walk into the wild where nothing waits but hunger and death. You know this." Silence filled the hut. He hated how true her words were. Out there, beyond the valley, the land was cruel. He had nearly starved before he found this village. If he walked away now, he might never survive. But if he stayed, would he survive as himself? Or only as what they needed him to be? The next day, the elders called a gathering in the central square. The whole village came, standing in a circle. The human was brought forward. The elder spoke, her voice like thunder. "This man has chosen to stay. He will walk with us. He will bring us future." Cheers filled the air. Some clapped, some sang. Alien women smiled, their eyes bright. Children jumped with joy. But among the crowd, he saw faces darkened by doubt. A small group of men stood, apart, their weak bodies trembling with anger. One of them shouted, "He is not one of us. His blood will change us. He is outsider." The crowd silenced. The elder raised her hand. "His blood is strong. We will survive. Without him, we die." The human felt all eyes burn into him again. He clenched his fists. Survival. Future. Those words followed him everywhere now. But what about choice? What about his own life? That night he wandered out to the fields alone. The stars above looked different here, larger, sharper, as if watching him. He remembered Earth, remembered the faces of people long gone. Would they laugh at him now, caught in such a strange fate? Or would they tell him to accept, to live, because life was all that mattered? The golden-skinned woman found him there. She stood quietly for a long time before speaking. You are not wrong to fear, but you are not tool. If you wish, you can choose one mate, not all. Then it is family, not duty. Her words surprised him. One, I thought, the whole village expected. She smiled faintly. Yes, they hope for many, but even hope must bend. If you give to one and life comes, it is enough. They will see you as man, not only seed. For the first time since his arrival, the heavy weight in his chest shifted. Maybe he did not have to be everyone's savior. Maybe he could just be himself, someone who gave but also chose. He looked at her, truly looked. The way her skin glowed, the way her voice softened when she spoke to him, the way she had never pushed him too hard. She was different. And in her eyes he did not see just expectation. He saw something warmer. The human's voice was low. And what if I chose you? Her cheeks shimmered brighter, her eyes lowering. For the first time she looked shy. Then, I would not say no. The fire in his heart shifted again. Less of fear, more of something else. Maybe this village had forced him into a corner, but maybe in that corner he could still find something real. The moral battle inside him did not end. He still feared becoming a prisoner to their hope. But now, he also saw another path, a choice, where he could belong, not as a tool, but as a man. As dawn broke, the human stood with the woman beside him. The valley stretched out before them, glowing under the alien sun. The villagers waited for his answer, and for the first time, he felt he could give one, not because they demanded it, but because his own heart was ready. Unexpected bond. The human's decision spread through the village faster than fire in dry grass. He had not chosen to walk away. He had not agreed to every expectation either. Instead, he chose her, the golden-skinned woman who had guided him. From the first day, her name was Liara. And when he spoke her name before the elders, a silence fell across the hall so heavy it could crush stone. Some elders nodded in approval. Some looked doubtful. But the oldest elder's lips curved into a faint smile. So be it. One bond is stronger than many. Let it begin. That night the villagers celebrated. Fires burned in the square. Drums beat like a second heartbeat and strange songs rose into the night. The human sat near Liara, feeling the warmth of the fire and the eyes of the entire village on him. Yet for the first time, their stares did not feel heavy. They felt lighter, like acceptance. Liara sat close, her shoulder brushing his arm. She looked at him with a small, almost nervous smile. You surprised them, she whispered. He chuckled. I surprised myself. For a moment, they both sat in silence, watching the flames. The human felt something stir inside him, something he had buried long ago. It wasn't fear. It wasn't survival. It was connection. The days that followed were different. Liara showed him the hidden parts of the village. She took him to the crystal caves where glowing stones hummed softly like living things. She led him to the river that ran silver under the moonlight, where the water healed small wounds in seconds. She even taught him their language, simple words at first, then longer phrases. Her patience never ran out. In return, he taught her pieces of his own world. How humans cooked over open fire, how they told stories with gestures and laughter, how they carved wood into toys for children. She listened with wide eyes, as though every word was treasure. Slowly, their bond grew. It was no longer just about duty, no longer about expectation. It became about choice, about two souls finding something rare in a world broken by fear and loss. One evening, as the sun bled orange across the horizon, they sat by the riverbank. Liara dipped her fingers into the silver water, watching the way ripples glow. "When you first came," she said softly, "I thought you would run. All humans run when faced with us." He looked at her, confused. "Have there been other humans here before?" She shook her head. "No, but we hear stories. Tales of humans who are strong, proud, and cruel. I thought you would see us as less. But you stayed." The human stared at the water, his voice heavy. "I stayed because I was tired of running, tired of being alone." Liara's eyes softened. She placed her hand on his. "Then you are not alone anymore." Her touch was gentle, warm. For a moment the world fell quiet, the rushing river, the distant drums, even the stars above. All that existed was her hand in his, but peace never lasted long. Not in this world. The next morning, when the human and Liara returned to the village, a crowd was waiting. Angry voices rose, sharp and loud. It was the faction of alien men, the ones who had always doubted him. Their leader, a tall figure with dim gray skin, stepped forward. "You think you can take one of our daughters?" he shouted. "You think your blood is better than ours? You shame us." The human froze. The villagers fell silent, their eyes darting between the human and the angry men. Liara gripped his arm tightly. The elder appeared, her voice steady. "He was chosen. He is family now." But the leader spat on the ground. "Family? He is outsider. He will corrupt us. His children will not be ours." The human's fists tightened, but he said nothing. He knew that if he spoke with anger, it would only fuel them. Instead, he looked at Liara, her hand trembling in his, and felt strength from her presence. Finally, he spoke. His voice was calm but firm. "I did not come here to replace anyone. I came because I was dying. You gave me a chance, and I chose to stay. Not for power, not for control, but for her, for Liara." The villagers murmured, some nodding, some still doubtful. The elder raised her staff high, her voice cutting through the tension. "Enough. Division kills us faster than hunger. He has chosen and she has chosen him. That is bond, that is law." The angry men backed away, their eyes filled with silent fire, but they did not fight further. For now. That night, Liara and the human sat in the hut, the air heavy with unspoken words. Finally, she whispered, "They will not stop. They will test you. You must be strong." The human nodded. He had no illusions. This was not a fairy tale. This was survival, not just of one man, but of a whole people, and now he was bound to them through Liara. As he lay down to sleep, Liara rested beside him, her head on his shoulder. He closed his eyes, realizing that for the first time in years, he wasn't just surviving. He was living. And with her, he wasn't afraid. Conflict in the village. The days after the bond between the human and Liara seemed calm on the surface, but underneath, tension grew like cracks in stone. The human could feel it everywhere, in the way some villagers smiled warmly at him, while others whispered as he passed. He saw how some alien men turned their backs on him, their weak bodies trembling, their pride sharper than knives. At night, he would lie awake beside Liara, listening to the silence of the village. She often rested her head on his chest, her breathing steady, but he knew she also carried the weight of the whispers. One morning, as he walked through the fields with Liara, a group of alien men blocked his path. Their leader, the tall, gray-skinned man from before, stepped forward. His eyes glowed dim but burned with anger. "You should have left when you had the chance, human," the man hissed. "You think taking one of our daughters makes you one of us? You are nothing but a thief." Liara moved to stand between them, her voice sharp. "Enough, Tehran. He is bonded by law. He is my choice." Tehran sneered. "Your choice shames us. Our people fall weak, yes, but we are still men, and now you worship this outsider as if he is savior. He turned his glare back to the human. If you are so strong, prove it. Prove you deserve her. A crowd began to gather. Villagers whispered, their eyes wide. Some hoped for peace, others waited for blood. The human clenched his fist but stayed calm. I didn't come here to fight, he said firmly. I came here to live, to belong. But if you want to test me, then test me. Tehran smirked, satisfied. Tonight, at the circle. You will fight. No weapons, only strength. Liara's hand gripped the human's arm, her voice low with fear. Don't. They want to break you. But the human only looked into her glowing eyes and shook his head gently. If I run, they'll never accept me. If I fight, maybe they'll see me differently. That night, the village gathered at the circle, a wide open ground lit by blue torches. The drums beat low and steady, echoing like a heartbeat. The human stood at one side, his body tense. On the other side, Tehran waited, his eyes filled with hate. The elder raised her staff. This is not for death, this is for truth. The bond stands, but strength will decide respect. The staff struck the ground, and the fight began. Tehran rushed forward with surprising speed for his weakened body. His long arms swung wide, claws slashing through the air. The human ducked, the claws just missing his face. He countered with a punch to Tehran's chest, sending him stumbling back. The crowd gasped, but Tehran came again, more furious than before. He slammed his shoulder into the human, knocking him to the dirt. Pain shot through the human's ribs, but he gritted his teeth and pushed back. With a roar, he tackled Tehran, rolling both of them across the ground. Dust filled the air, and the sound of fists hitting flesh echoed around the circle. The villagers shouted, some cheering for the human, others for Tehran. Liara's hands trembled as she watched, her heart pounding in fear. The human felt blood on his lip, his arms aching, but he refused to stop. He remembered nights of hunger, days of rejection, the endless road of loneliness. He would not lose this chance to belong. With one final surge of strength, he pinned Tehran to the ground. His fist hovered above the alien's face, ready to strike, but he stopped. He breathed heavily, his chest burning, but he lowered his fist. I didn't come here to destroy you, he shouted for all to hear. I came to be part of you. I fight not to shame you, but to show I belong. The crowd fell silent. Tehran's chest heaved as he stared up at the human, anger still burning, but even he could not hide the truth. He had lost. The elder raised her staff again. It is done. The human has shown strength and mercy. Respect is given. The crowd erupted, some cheering, some still doubtful, but none could deny what they had seen. The human stood, blood dripping from his lip. His body aching but his heart steady. He looked at Liara, who rushed to his side, her eyes wet with relief. She touched his face gently. You didn't have to spare him, she whispered. He smiled weakly. Yes, I did, because I'm not here to take. I'm here to stay. That night, as the village settled, the human realized something important. Respect had not been fully won and enemies still remained. But for the first time, he had taken a step beyond survival. He had fought not just for himself, but for his place, his bond with Liara, his future in the village. And though conflict still lingered, he knew one truth. Belonging was never given freely. It had to be earned. The final decision. The fight with Tehran changed the village. Some looked at the human with new respect, whispering about his strength and his mercy. Others still frowned in silence, their hearts not ready to accept an outsider as one of their own. But no matter what side they stood on, everyone knew the same truth now. The human was no longer a stranger. He was part of their story. For days after, the village grew quieter around him. Children no longer whispered outsider, but called him brother. Women greeted him with warm smiles, and even some of the men nodded reluctantly. But peace was fragile, like glass waiting to shatter. One evening, the elders summoned him again. The blue fire burned brighter than ever in the hall. Liara stood beside him, her hand gripping his tightly. The elder's voice echoed through the chamber. Our people survive another day, but survival is not enough. We need future, we need choice. You must decide, human. Do you stay forever, take root with us, and give us life? Or do you leave, and take your strength away? The human's chest tightened. He had known this moment would come. He thought of the wild lands beyond the valley, the hunger, the loneliness, the endless walking. He thought of Liara's eyes, soft and glowing, her touch warm on his skin. He thought of the children who laughed when he passed, believing he could give them tomorrow. But fear still whispered in his mind. If I stay, I will never be free again. If I leave, I will die alone. The hall waited in silence. Dozens of glowing eyes stared at him, heavy with expectation. Liara's grip on his hand trembled. She whispered softly, so only he could hear, "Whatever you choose, I will follow." Those words broke something inside him. For so long he had lived without anyone to stand beside him. Now, here she was, ready to walk with him, even if the whole village turned against them. He stepped forward, his voice steady but loud. "When I first came here, I only wanted food, shelter, work. I never asked to be chosen. I never asked to be your savior. But I see now, you are not asking for a savior. You are asking for someone to stand with you, to fight for your tomorrow, and I cannot turn away from that." The elder's eyes glowed brighter. The villagers leaned forward, holding their breath. "I will stay," the human said firmly. "I will build with you, fight with you, and yes, make life with you. But not because you forced me, because I choose to, because I want a family. Because I want to belong." The hall erupted. Some cheered, their voices rising like thunder. Others remained silent, still unsure, but none could deny the power in his words. Liara's eyes filled with tears, her hands clutching his with both fear and joy. The elder struck her staff against the stone floor. "Then it is sealed. From this day the human is no longer outsider. He is family. His children will be our children. His blood will be our blood. Let the future begin." That night the village celebrated again. Fires burned high, drums thundered, and songs filled the valley. The human stood in the center, Liara beside him, their faces lit by the flames. For the first time in years, he felt the weight of loneliness lift from his shoulders. He had a place. He had people who looked at him not with fear but with hope. Later, when the noise of the festival softened, he and Liara walked together to the river. The silver water glowed under the moonlight, rippling softly. Liara turned to him, her eyes shining. "You gave them what they needed," she whispered, "but you gave me more." He smiled faintly. "And what is that?" Her voice trembled as she answered, "You gave me choice. You chose me. Not because of duty, but because of me. That is more than I ever dreamed." He touched her cheek gently, the warmth of her skin soft against his fingers. Then we both found what we were missing. The night wind brushed past them, carrying the songs of the village. For the first time, the human believed he was not just surviving anymore. He was living, truly living, with a bond, with a people, with a future he had chosen with his own heart. Behind them, the village sang. Ahead of them, the stars stretched wide and endless. And in between, two souls stood together, no longer strangers, no longer broken. The final decision was made, and for the human, it was the first decision in years that felt truly his own.